The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.
Welcome back to another episode of Cashing Out. I'm your host, Billy Alvaro, my co-host, cousin, and partner, Wayne Hartart. We are Easy Sell Property Solutions. We're located right over here in Holbrook, New York. You can find us online at easysell411.com, by phone 631-400-EASY. Cuz, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing phenomenal. How you doing, man?
You looking good, looking buff, looking like you're hitting the gym again?
Yeah, you know.
Handsome bastard you are.
Yeah. It runs in the family. Can you believe it?
My godson. I love it.
Must be the genes, huh?
So if you don't know who we are, we're two clowns on the radio. We have a good time. We laugh. We hustle. We have fun. But the biggest thing we do is we help out New York, New Jersey families, Connecticut families, and PA families by assisting them with buying their home as is for cash. Now, we're completely different from realtors that are out there, Wayne, right? You're a realtor. Realtors are needed in the industry. They're a good, they're a good piece of the puzzle. But with us, when we're buying properties, we're going in, we're offering all cash as is, and really the key thing that it comes down to is it's hassle-free. I mean, let's just talk about it. The properties that we're buying, a majority of them have some sort of an issue, majority of them, where they have C of O issues or estate issues or tenant issues or fire damage or mold. There's some sort of an issue with the property where if they were going to list it with the realtor, they'd have one hell of a hard time jumping through all the hoops to make this property legal to get it sold in the MLS.
Correct. Usually these ones are not really mortgageable. There's always an issue on the outside. It could be, you didn't even mention too, they could be behind on taxes. It could be, something that they inherited. It could be hoarder houses that we've had. It could be even dilapidated homes that have just been, vacant and boarded up for years. We've picked up
a lot of those.
Tons of them. So I mean, folks, if you're out there, if you have something like that, I mean, please pick up the phone and give us a shout. I mean, we brand something called the easiest way out, and it really is the fastest, easiest, most hassle-free way to sell your property in today's condition without a realtor. And we will close on your timeline if you want to close, like we go mentioned.
So that's key. So let's talk about that. The whole timeline thing. Like a lot of people, when they're selling their property through a realtor and they have a traditional home buyer coming in, that home buyer is going to want to live in the property. Yeah. And so they're going to have their own timeline that they have to close by because they might be having a house they have to sell. Correct. With us, cuz we make an offer. If they tell us they want to move in June or July or August or next year or in 7 days, whatever your timeline is, we will close on your timeline because we have the ability to close within 7, or we have the ability to stretch it out for a year to accommodate you and your family to get done what you need to get done. And that's a key point.
That's a very key point. And we've done that many, many times with people. And why do people do that if you're out there listening? Folks, if you're out there, you say, listen, maybe the kids are in school and we go into contract maybe in March. And you're like, listen, I just don't want to move until the end of the school year, or I need to get through the summer, or there's just so many circumstances out there. We are... we're here to make sure that we can make that work for you. And there's one thing I will tell you, that if we didn't close, and it's very, very rare that it happens, if we didn't close on your timeline, we actually give you a credit at closing.
So that's one of the guarantees we offer.
Yeah.
One of the guarantees, I'm glad you touched on that, we have a on-time closing guarantee. Yeah. You pick out the date you want to close, and if we don't close on that timeline, we give you $1,000, I guess you would call it like a penalty fee at the closing table. We've had to do that a couple of times.
Yeah, not too often, but it
happens.
But we stand by our word, and if we say we're going to do it, and it was our office or something that we were having on our end, we'll make sure we honor it,
right,
folks.
And that's the key point. If we say we're going to do something, you damn well better be sure that you stand behind your guarantee. Yeah. And I don't like giving $1,000 out for no reason, but if we're at fault, we 100% do it because, listen, it's the guarantee that we stand by. Yeah. There's a couple other things we do different in the industry than a lot of the competitors that are out there. One of the things that we do, and we had to actually do this past week, is we'll move somebody within a certain radius from their property to the new property they're going into, because let's face it, sometimes people, they're older, or even if they're young and they just don't have the ability to pay for the transportation, we have the ability to tap in to our network, and we have a moving company that will hire on their behalf, pack up the goods, and move it from location A to location B. And we do that often. We do that at least once a quarter. We're doing it 2-3 times.
Absolutely, folks. And this is not just a couple of guys that we hire in the back of a van. I mean, this is a legitimate company, Blue Collar Moving Storage. If you ever look at that video, you could probably reference back. We've had them on. They're great guys. They're working with us.
Good moving guys, man.
Probably 2010, right? I mean, since the beginning.
We've been with them for a while,
quite some
2010, 2011.
Well, somewhere around there. And folks, I mean, this is a reputable company. They're one of the best on Long Island. They're going to come. You tell us what you want to pack up, where it's going, it's going to be done professionally. It's going to get there. And there's some horrors out there moving. I've done some moves. You've done some moves. I've done cross-country moves a couple times. It's a nightmare when it's
a pain in the ass.
Shows up and you're like, whoa, it's all broken and battered. But, we'll definitely take the time to go through everything for you. Most people won't. They'll tell you they're going to throw everything in the garbage. Many people come to us and say, listen, can you get some of the sentimental things out of it? I mean, we just did a house over the weekend where somebody was standing there all weekend to find photography, old photos and books and stuff like this. The things that just are, they're not they're not replaceable. You can't replace those types of things.
It might not be monetary value. It just might be emotional ties that you have to certain things that are in that home. Sure. We do that often.
Yeah, we do it very often. And especially if you're out of state. How many times have we sent stuff down to Florida or the Carolinas? Somebody says, listen, look for my old wedding books or this type of stuff. We pack this stuff up, send it to you, and it comes down safely. And I mean, it's what we say we're going to do, we do.
You know what, though? We're dealing with people. And even though we are a for-profit business, we're not a non-for-profit. I mean, let's face it. We're obviously doing this so we can earn money to pay our bills and to pay the employees that work with us on our team. But the bottom line is we're dealing with people. We're dealing with human beings. And everybody out there has a situation that they're going through. They're faced with something. And when we're dealing with them on a face-to-face, on a one-on-one, we take the number, we take the transaction out of it, and it becomes personal. Yeah. And we really get to know the people that we're dealing with. We get to know the people on a personal level of what their situation is, and we go the extra steps to really put together a package that suits their needs. And that's key, because a lot of guys and girls that are in any type of business, they don't look at it as a relationship, they look at it as a transaction. Yeah. And when you have a transactional business and all you do is look at the numbers, and listen, numbers are important, but if all you're doing is looking at the numbers and you're not looking at the people you're dealing with, whether it be your teammates or whether it be the people that you're out there trying to help, if you don't look at them in a certain light, then you're going to be missing a lot of opportunities because they're just a transaction, they're just a number. When you get to know, like, and trust people, and they get to know, like, and trust you, and you're able to go above and beyond, most of them, not everybody, but most of them are going to respect it. They're going to be like, man, these guys really care. And guess what happens? The referrals start pouring in. Yeah. And that's the key to this business. The lifeblood of any business is bringing in the properties. The only way to bring in the properties is by doing what you say you're going to do, consistently, day in, day out, deliver a good quality service. And freaking guess what, dude? If you care about your people, and I'm not talking about BS care, I'm talking about truly freaking care from the heart, like help them out and do the right thing. Even if sometimes it costs you more money, we do the right thing, dude, it just... helping people and changing lives. It brings me, to one of the properties we just closed, I think 2 weeks ago, and you posted it on Facebook. We had a gentleman, and I don't want to go into details because it's a very private individual, but we had a gentleman that Dan inside of our office, it took him 1 year. Think about this now. 1 year after he contacted us to build a relationship with this individual. Now, I want to stop there for a second and have an understanding of why it took Dan a year. It's not because Dan isn't a good teammate. It's because the gentleman he was dealing with had a lot of emotional struggles he was going through. He didn't trust anybody. He had little to no friends or family to speak of, right? Yeah. He, as heartbreaking as this sounds, he hasn't left his home in years. Years. This isn't somebody who's, just living in his home and he hasn't left his home literally in years. So he's been a hermit living inside his home. And unfortunately for him, because of what he was going through, he actually lived in his own garbage. Yeah. And so this guy the outside of his house, he was pretty smart because you really couldn't tell that something crazy was going on. The trees were overgrown. But for the most part, the lawn was cut, so the town wasn't really getting involved. But inside that home, he was living in a situation that was like third world country-ish. And it's not because he's not a good man. It's not because it's because he had some challenges that he was facing. Yeah. And so, going through and looking at that, it took Dan a year just to connect with this guy, to get him to earn his trust, because he didn't trust anybody. No, he didn't. I mean, it was a real difficult situation, but it came down to when Dan was actually able to connect with this individual and get to know, like, and trust and really understand what the situation was, because we had no clue. All we had was his name and his telephone number and a couple of conversations, but he really couldn't break through the guy. Yeah. And little by little, as he started breaking through, he realized, man, this guy he's living in a real difficult state. And he had money coming in. He had retirement. It wasn't like he was destitute. He had cash coming in monthly, which above and beyond, after he paid his bills, he had a surplus to live on. But he wasn't paying his taxes. So he not only was he behind on his taxes, the county actually took the deed. So we had deed issues we were dealing with. We had a hoarder situation we were dealing with. We had somebody who didn't know, like, or trust anybody. I mean, it was, when you really break it down, cuz it was one of the most difficult, trying situations for that guy to trust us. Now, if we were like most of the companies out there in this business or others, and if they couldn't get an immediate response from this gentleman, most people would have just discarded him to the side, moved on to the next one. Transactional, number-based. We're relationship-based, and that's a key differential that I need everybody out there to understand. This is a family-run business. Every person in our company is a family member. They might not be related by blood, but we consider them family. And it's an important differentiator that you have to understand, because if you treat them like family and you have them part of your unit, when they go out, they're going to in turn treat people out there with higher levels of respect. And that's exactly what freaking Dan did with this guy. He never gave up. He never judged. He went in. He saw that there was a problem. He identified all the freaking problems that were happening. And then what Dan did over time, just as we trained him, just as Justin trained him, he little by little started offering the solutions to this gentleman. Now, one of the biggest freaking hurdles we had, besides the fact that the house was, which you're dealing with right now, you're renovating it right now. I don't know how many yards of dumpsters you took out. We're going to get into that. But, he was dealing with the trust and dealing with the hoarder situation and dealing with everything, and dealing with the deed that we had to work with the county to get back. But the biggest challenge we had, if we buy this gentleman's house and we help him, where is he going to go? Think about that, cuz where is he freaking going to go?
It was important. That was a big key factor, and we actually placed him somewhere. And that took some time.
And that was the company, the family as a whole. We pulled together. I remember us having like a brainstorming session with operations, with finance, with sales, with acquisition, with rehab, with marketing, with everybody. And say, okay, we have a situation on our hands where this gentleman, we're not just going to buy his home and then he's going to be displaced. Like, we have an obligation to serve him, to help him, to put him into a better situation, into a better spot in life. So what the hell are we going to do? How are we going to do this? First of all, he hasn't left his house in 8 years. Think about that. He hasn't left his home in 8 years. And where is he going to go? And so, we were lucky enough. We scouted. We found a place. And we actually, we have a home that we rent out. It's a veteran's home in Patchogue. And we were able to speak with everybody in the home first, because like them, we want to treat them with respect, gave them the situation, had them understand. We were able to take this individual and have him get introduced to them. They automatically had a bond. We then were able to move him from one location with none of his stuff. We went out, we bought him new furniture, new bedroom set, new everything.
New everything.
Basically,
for an apartment living.
For an apartment living. Set him up in a new home, and we moved, I think, some of his personal, maybe just clothing and stuff. Some of his personal belongings, of course. But I mean, these are things that normally you don't really see too many people out there doing in the business world. No, it's a transaction, and for us, dude, it comes down to the fact that it's relationship. It's all freaking about serving the needs of the people that we're working with. Of course, we have to make it a profitable business, but the needs of the people come first and foremost. And if we can't make it into a win-win, if we couldn't serve him, I don't know what the hell we would have done, because I mean, he would have lost his home. His home was like gone. He would have lost all the equity that he had. It would have been wiped out, and he would have been freaking homeless.
No, yeah, it would have been.
Think about that.
No, but I think the difference of what you're saying, though, folks, and you're out there listening, from a transactional piece of what we're doing, our whole entire team gets together.
Every single person.
And develops, every problem is an area of opportunity, and figures out a solution for every one of his problems. And that meant from creating the rapport from the beginning that Dan did, from getting inside the house and not judging him. Because, folks, you got to remember, our guys that come in there, they've seen this before. They're not going to judge you. They're going to go in with an open mind. You don't have to be afraid. And most people are afraid. I mean, he was afraid to let anybody inside of his house because of what it looked like.
It was a year, it was 1 year of him. Danny said when he opened the door, he hasn't seen the day of sunlight in years. He had all his food delivered to the home from Amazon.
Yeah.
Think about the psychology right now of, I'm sitting back, and I'm so freaking proud of the team, the way they handled it, the way it got handled from the beginning through, with Danny, with Justin helping out, with Liz in the back end handling with the county, with Haiti on the front end with the accounting piece, with you on the back end with the movers, with the rehab. I mean, across the freaking board, dude, the team really pulled together, put him into a clean, friendly environment where he can now prosper and get to live again. And of course, we're going to have monthly inspections to ensure that he keeps himself in check, because we don't want him to fall back into his old ways.
No. But what was good is when Dan took him out of there, you could see his life changing. It was like he was able to wipe his slate clean.
Something sparked.
Get new stuff, and he saw the people that were inside that house, and everyone inside of that house was encouraging for him to get better. They didn't judge, again. Somebody, open mind, people coming in and saying, listen, we've been there before. We've been down. We've been out.
Yeah.
Everybody in that house has had some type of issue and overcome it. So it's
right.
always nice to be able to give back.
Yeah.
And those guys came, to that meeting when you brought them over to the house with open arms and said, hey, we're not going to look at you any differently. You got an issue. We're here to support you. Leverage us. Let's put you in a house. Let's get you around people. Let's get you speaking with people,
right.
Socializing with people,
yeah.
just around others. His whole life is completely like that.
It's a 180.
Has changed.
It's a 180, dude. He actually has people he can rely on. His people he can socialize with. He has a clean home. And, the guys that are in that home, in that vet's home that we have, we didn't just go in there and mandate, hey, we're moving this guy in. It's all about relationship again. It comes down to relationship. Yeah. So if you're out there and you're a home seller, if you've inherited a house, if you have a personal situation that's tough that you're dealing with, this is the no judgment zone. We don't judge. Because guess what? Every single person, every family member in our office that works with us has at one day or another faced some freaking trying times. Whether it be financially, it be health-wise, be relationship-wise, it could be economic, whatever the situation is, we've all faced foreclosure, loss of a business, losing everything, being depressed, being up. Everybody out there has stuff they go through. So honestly, when you call us, it is the no judgment zone, period. And it's all about putting your needs first, our needs second. If we can fit your needs and we can meet your needs and we can put you into a better position, we are going to do it. And if we can't, we will tell you. If we can't do anything, we'll put you in touch with somebody that may be able to help you out. If it's a certain attorney, if you're a foreclosure, whatever the situation may be. The bottom line is we will definitely put you into a better light and put your needs before our own. And, cause I'm proud of the fact that we were able to help this guy and honestly, not just save his equity, but, I don't want to sound cocky saying this, but almost in a way saving his life, because we've given him a new opportunity to whatever, I don't know how old he is. I can't remember, but whatever remaining years he has left, to live it differently, to experience.
Absolutely.
On a deeper level.
Imagine being stuck in that house and just withering away and passing that way.
No.
Now he could be around other people. And who knows? In a couple of years, this gentleman may go out and have a relationship. He gets a whole second chance at life, folks. He didn't leave the house for years. Now he's around other people. Things can change his whole life. One day he's going to be calling back and saying that rapport that he created with Dan and letting him in that door changed his life that one day.
It was a decision that definitely put him onto a different pathway.
Yeah. And who knows where he can go. Now sky's the limit. And folks, that's like anybody that's been knocked down. You've all been, once you're at the bottom, look forward, because you can't go any lower. Now there's only can go up from there, right?
Some people, though, he was, the thing with him is he actually had something inside him, because if he was completely shut down, he would have shut that door and he never would have looked back. And he would have ended up dying in that home one day or another. In the near future or whatever the hell it was. But, I'm happy that we helped him. I'm glad. I am so freaking proud of our team. And now we're going down. We have 2.5 minutes left. You have gone through and gone on so many meetings after our acquisition teams have gone out to properties. And you're going out with your team, we always get a head start. We want to buy a property to renovate. You'll go out there a month before we're closing just to get everything in order. Yeah. How many times have you gone and spoke with sellers and after they meet either Dan or Al or Anthony or Justin, and then you go out and they hear us on the radio show and they're like, you guys... It's like they thought maybe it was a gimmick or a scam, but they hear Dan, they hear Al, they hear Justin, they hear Anthony, they hear they hear everybody, Anderson, and then you go out to the house and it's like, all you guys, your values, the way you speak, the way you interact, the way you treat us is exactly the same.
Yeah, and it's one and the same, and that's the best part. I still love going to the houses because I get to hear the
puts a smile on your face, right?
Because you know what, it starts with how we run a business.
It starts with us, bro.
Yes, it started with us.
It starts from the head.
This was the core value of how we started this thing. how many years ago? It was almost 10 years ago. And we
years.
said this is the way we wanted to service our clients. And that was the day when we were in an office, the 2 or 3 of us, and that's how we service the clients. And then we instilled those values into everybody that came on since then. And we've grown from 1, 2, 3 people to 11 people now.
13.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. Where's it going? But look at that. That's a testament of how we grew the company and our moral values that we handed down to them, showing them, listen, cater to your clients and be by them and be by their side and look at these areas of opportunities and make suggestions for every problem
don't
they
lie,
have.
don't cheat,
through.
don't steal,
Yeah.
follow through, don't mislead. The one thing that used to really twist me up when I was in sales early on at my young age is I would see these guys and girls around me and they would say whatever the hell they needed to say just to lure those people in, and then they would change it after the fact.
Yeah.
That pisses me off.
Yeah, that's not
so
what we
listen,
do.
if you're out there, you have a home, you want to sell, you want to get a fair offer on it, give us a call at the office, 631-400-EASY. Go online at easysell411.com, easysell411.com. Honestly, my cousin said it earlier, we have a program called the Easy Way Out. It literally is the fastest, easiest, most hassle-free way to sell your home. Guaranteed, huge exclamation point after the guaranteed. We'll be right back right after these messages, guys. Welcome back, guys. Billy Alvaro, Wayne Hartart, Easy Sell Property Solutions. If you don't know about us, you should. We buy properties all day, every day for cash. Find us online, easysell411.com. By phone, 631-400-EASY. We're here today. We're talking, just my cousin and I, no interviews. We're talking real estate all day, every day. We're talking about really case studies that have been going on. And in our first segment, we were speaking about a gentleman we helped out in Merrick and, you know, the situation he was going through and just the challenges he faced and the fact that he hasn't left his house in years and losing his home to a tax auction. He had a lot of stuff in the home. He needed a place to live. And we just went above and beyond like we always do, not just because it was him. We do this with every freaking person we come in contact with. We treat them like family. Why? Because our company is one big family unit, and we want to take those values and that respect. We want to give it and share it with everybody we come in contact with. And so listen, you know, we speak a lot about these crazy-ass properties we buy and all the problems, but let's like take a step back for a second, because we also buy a lot of properties that have no issues.
Yeah.
That they need some work.
Issues, but not as many issues.
They could actually
Much cleaner.
Much cleaner.
Much cleaner.
They could be listed on the MLS. They could be sold for top dollar. They could have, you know, when I say top dollar, for a fair amount for what the property is worth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, brings me to one that we just closed on, I think about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, the one in Brookhaven. So Brookhaven is a property where the gentleman was selling it on his own. It was for sale by owner, which generally means when they do for sale by owner, they want to try to get the highest amount possible. Mm-hmm. They don't want to pay real estate commissions, everything else. And so, you know, this gentleman, a friend of a friend contacted me. He said, hey, he's trying to sell his house. And I asked if there was a situation. I went out to the home. I sat down with the gentleman. I went through everything with him. And I have to tell you, and you're renovating the house right now. The house was not, it was old. It was dated. But the gentleman had zero situation. Like, he had no issues. He didn't have any financial issues. He was well off, actually. Retired, had a lot of money in the bank. He had a couple of properties. He had a property down in Florida he owned. I think he had another one in North Carolina. This house up here he lived in for years. Him and his wife had a business. They ran out of it. They're basically just, you know, consolidating, moving down. So he had no financial issues. There was no C of O issues with the property. There was no real damage to the property. I mean, he pulled out. I'm like, well, this probably doesn't have a C of O in the extension. He's like, oh, no, I haven't. He opened up his little CO book, and he had. Yeah,
he was organized.
He was organized. The guy, he had the I think they converted over the garage.
Yeah, they converted the garage.
And so generally we're like, all right, so if he didn't convert it over, he didn't get the C of O, that would be like something that we would buy it because, you know, he wouldn't be able to list on the MLS because he'd have to get a C of O. But this guy, everything was in order, right? So why in the hell would he decide to sell the Easy Sell Property Solutions in Billy and Wayne? Why? Well, it comes down to this. It literally was hassle-free for him. He did not want to deal with having the house listed on the MLS. He didn't want to deal with people running through his home. And the biggest thing he didn't want to deal with is he didn't want to deal with somebody having to get a mortgage and then being disqualified or falling through. Now, I know that because he told me he had an experience with that same situation where he sold the property at one time. It was right down to the end, almost to the wire where they were going to close. Something happened with, I didn't get the details, something happened with the mortgage company. They pulled out his commitment. They wouldn't give him the commitment because something happened either with his credit scores or his debt to income ratio, and they ended up killing the deal, and he had to go through, and he had a lot of pain that he felt. And he's like, you know what? I don't want to go through this crap again. And so did we get the absolute best deal? No, we didn't. Did he get the absolute highest price? No, he didn't. But we met in the middle.
And made it fair.
And we made a fair offer, fair price. Now tell us the back end on the what you're doing to the property on the rehab side.
Well, it was just that house was in good shape. It was just dated. It was just all
Dated.
from the 70s. He had
60s,
that garage
70s.
converted to like a weird, it was like a weird little apartment type of office type of setup kind of deal, and it was
But legal.
It was legal. It was just all choppy, but everything was literally from the 70s. It needed everything: roofing, siding, windows, kitchens, baths, floors. Needed some updating on the electric. It, the grounds were a little, up unkempt. Needed a driveway. Just it needed. Nobody did anything for the last 25, 30 years.
You know what it needed?
It
needed a facelift.
It
It
needed-
needed a boob job and a facelift.
That's one way of putting it. Need a little nip and tuck, huh?
A little nip and tuck is what the house needed. But it wasn't like down and out. He wasn't down and out, and that's the key point.
No.
So people, you and I, we go to networking events, and we go and we speak a lot, and people are like, oh, you just buy foreclosures? And that's what people think.
It's
Oh,
not
you
always
guys
the
just
case.
buy.
No.
It's not.
No,
It's
it's
hardly ever the case.
No, it's not always
We
the
don't
case.
really buy a lot of foreclosures.
No, we actually don't. We never
maybe
buy any
5 or
REOs.
10% of our
We don't
portfolio is
buy-
foreclosure.
Man, we buy.
But it
very
just
few
goes to
bank-owned
the
properties.
perception that's out there, causes they think just because we buy homes for cash, that the people we're buying them from are financially upside down, or they're just having major financial problems. And listen, it's not the case.
No.
We're not buying a ton of properties that are mint and perfect.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, there are people out there who don't want the hassles of listing a property. They don't want the hassles of having somebody get a mortgage. They don't want the hassles of having the home inspection. All this crap that comes along.
Well, we should touch on that type of stuff because it's important. We say it's just little things, but it's not. Like, folks, if you have to put your house on the market, you need to then have this thing cleaned up. You need to have.
And he left
access.
a lot of crap in the
Yeah,
house,
he
by the
wanted
way.
to stay in the house. Yeah, he had a lot of crap in it.
He had a lot of crap.
Then he has to show the house. He has to clean up every single day. He's got to have showings at all odd hours of the day. He's got to have people running through his house. He can't really live in there if he wants to be in
Right.
there. So they don't like that. They don't want to clean up. They're not concerned about that.
They don't want to give the key to somebody for 24-hour
and
access.
sometimes
and
people don't have. Yeah, they're not very trusting to get inside the house. So
Yep.
that's a big concern for people. And then, folks, he's got to remember he had an issue, selling a house a while back. Right now, a lot of people, it's unfortunate. A lot of people are getting pre-approvals that are not getting mortgages right now.
Now you're feeling it because we're selling a lot of
We're
properties
feeling
in
it,
the back end.
and especially in some lower income areas right now. Like we're literally fine-tooth watching all these pre-approvals because these people are like. Literally,
So get
the,
into
wi-
that.
the
So-
wind blows, and I mean their DTIs are right at the max.
So for people who are listening who don't understand what DTI is, what does
That's
that
your
mean?
debt to income ratio.
And what does that have to do with getting a mortgage?
Well, that's how much debt they have, how much income they have coming in, opposed to the debt that's going out.
Right.
So and also their credit is right, borderline. So depending on where they are, they could be low 600s. They could be,
So let's
talk
touch
about
on this
guidelines,
for a second,
yeah,
though,
yeah.
because it's important if you are selling your home and you're selling your home to somebody who is going to get a mortgage. This is like key stuff. These are like golden nuggets that we're going to teach you right now. I used to own a tremendous mortgage bank and a title company.
Yep.
When Wayne came in, and I said, listen, we're selling these properties in the back end. He sells all the homes after we renovate because we have to make sure we have our T's crossed and our I's dotted. What does that mean? It means that he's basically pre-underwriting every mortgage that comes in. He's not doing it all, but he's going to the mortgage banker and he's confirming what the issues are, right?
Yeah.
To ensure that we're having the absolute smallest percentile that these deals are going to fall through, that they're actually going to go through.
Yeah.
And so you're doing all this, and even with all the due diligence that you do,
I've still seen some issues.
we have deals we
see-
go into contract with, and all of a sudden they get denied for the mortgage.
Yeah. So, folks, I mean, we're out there and we're looking at these deals, and I'm saying, all right, listen, I want to know what the DTI is, their debt to income ratio. I want to know what they're making. I want to know what their salary is, how long they've been on the job. I mean, I want to know so much stuff about these types of people. I want to know their credit scores. I want to know where the down payment's coming from. Is it a gift? Did they have it? Has it been verified? Have these mortgage bankers or brokers seen their
Bro,
W-2s and
I
their
gotta
tax
tell you
statements?
something.
Like-
I freaking trained you well, man.
But
You got this shit down, bro.
Hey, listen, hey, listen. I did
I
my
love it.
my internship back at Global back when I was in college. Remember
I
that?
remember years ago,
That
dude.
was years ago back in the day. So when you had that, so I mean, but folks, we're asking all these questions still, and I'll get the answers on the other end, and still things can go wrong. There's so many things.
You only get the answers. You get it in writing from the mortgage company.
I'll get it in writing from the mortgage company. Sometimes they give me a hard time. They don't like it, but there's a reason why we do this, because I would do this if I was selling anybody else's house too, because it's important. These people, they're not supposed to be buying houses. Now there's a lot of new programs out there now, so they need, There's a lot of home ready programs where they need some rental income so they can have apartments that aren't even legal in the house for some rental income to subsidize. So there's a lot of things that they're playing around with. But let's just say we passed all that and I checked all this stuff out, the DTIs and everything else, and it looked good. There's so many moving parts. You put this thing in contract, and go back to the gentleman there. If he would have had a mortgage buyer, he puts that in contract. You can't control what that buyer does for the next couple of months. Because some mortgage brokers don't, or bankers rather, don't like hold their hand the whole way. They don't tell them, listen, you do nothing for the next 90 days. You don't buy anything. You don't take out credit. You do nothing. Right. That's what every person should be telling them. Right. But it doesn't happen that way. All of a sudden, you're 2-3 months in, and it's like, oh, he shows up at the final walkthrough in a brand new BMW, and you're like, what is going on?
But you know what? You just hit on something. Dude.
What's going on here?
But you said something important, and I think the audience has to understand. It really, your home sale not only comes down to the buyer who's going in, but it comes down to the actual quality of the team that buyer has around him. Sure. The team of his agent, whether he has his own buyer's agent, and the mortgage company. Yep. Think about this. That seller, the buyer rather, could be doing every single thing right. He could be doing everything right. But because he's not educated from his realtor, who's his buying agent, and his mortgage company, his mortgage banker, they don't tell him, hey, don't open up any more trade lines. Don't go out and furniture shop. Don't go out and buy a car. And he doesn't know because it's his first time buying a home. So his wife is like, hey, we want to get furniture. Let's go finance it. Yeah. They finance the furniture. Mortgage banker doesn't tell him not to do it. His realtor doesn't tell him not to do it, which, by the way, both should be fired. And they don't educate him on the process. So he's doing something that he doesn't know is wrong. He then goes for his final commitment, and his debt-to-income ratio is blown out the friggin' window, and now he can't qualify for the house. So it's not only the individual that's buying it, it's the team around him. Yeah. And I got to tell you, man, even with everything you do and the amount of due diligence that you do with the seller's realtor and the mortgage company and the buyer, we still get burnt. And that's what you have to keep in mind when you're selling your property. Yeah. It's a challenge.
Yeah, that's one piece. Now, one piece we go back and we talked about was, folks, we go off the mortgage piece. What about when the people want to come in before they get this mortgage, they take out a home inspection? Home inspectors come in, they're like Terminators. They're there to turn your house upside down. So we use as an example.
They're earning their money.
Yeah, and they're supposed to find something. That's what they're paid to do. If they don't find something, they're not doing their job. But like the gentleman in Brookhaven, that house needed everything. It was clean, but it still needed everything. A home inspector was going to come in there and tell them that they needed everything. And what's going to happen? Then he's going to say, listen, ma'am, you're buying this house, you're getting a mortgage on it. It needs a roof, it needs siding, it needs windows, it needs this. It's going to scare a first-time home buyer.
Yeah.
But they're not ready for that. Because he's going to, they kind of will estimate a quote or an idea of what it's going to cost them. And he says a number, and it's like, these people are going to deer in headlights. I can't do this.
Right.
I don't want to do this. What if this breaks? Or what if it's galvanized plumbing? This is going to tear apart. We'll have water leaking. We'll have electric issues. There's aluminum wiring in here. Whatever it may be. The home inspectors will kill deals. Now, granted, they're there to do that. That's what you hired them to do. But
sometimes they blow things out of proportion.
They will blow it out of proportion.
They make things mountains out of molehills.
So now this gentleman's all right. Listen, all right, this is great. I might have a guy that's got a mortgage, and then he comes in and does a home inspection. Now he's like, okay, I want these huge credits. So now this gentleman we're talking about, like in Brookhaven, is like, I want ease. I want to be able to know that you're giving me this dollar. We're going to close on this timeline.
That's it.
There's no back and forth. There's no renegotiating.
Hassle-free.
Exactly.
Hassle-free process.
It's not hassle-free. You're negotiating everything. I repair writers that we go back and forth over the silliest things. And then let's just say we agree on that repair writer. Wait until it goes to the attorneys. Now the attorneys then change their whole mind, and then every attorney puts their chest out and says, listen, I want to save my client more money.
They're earning their fee, and it's never ending.
And it's back and forth. You're waiting 2, 3, 4 weeks sometimes before you're even in a contract. And the gentleman's like, listen, I want to close with Easy Sell in like less than 30 days. Yeah. Great.
30 days, in and out, no issues.
Yeah, and there are no issues, and we must stress that. Folks, I mean, our money is completely different. What we have is when our guys go out, I mean, literally, we'll show you a proof of funds. A legitimate proof of funds, showing that we have the money in our account ready.
It's an actual bank statement we're going to show you.
Yeah. And we're
with the cash in the account.
And what do? Once we go into contract, we move that money into another operating account, and we know that money is allocated for your house, so we're ready to close. So there's no issues here, folks. There's no issues. You want to close in 30 years? As long as we have clean title, we're closing on your timeline.
It comes down to people that are selling their house through a realtor where they want to try to get top dollar for it. When it all comes down to the bottom number, if they're selling a home, listen, if the house was just built 3 years ago and it's meant, obviously, they're going to sell it through the realtor. But if they have a home that's older and if they go through and they really take into consideration everything you just said, the home inspection, the credits they're going to have to get, the time they're going to have to hold on to it. If the guy does not get his mortgage, it has to go back in the market, the mortgage payments, the taxes, the insurance, all this. If you really add it up and you see the time it's going to take to sell that, how much money they're going to net versus selling it to us, they're going to earn more. Yeah. We're not trying to mask it.
No, I'm not going to.
They are going to earn more if they sell it on the open market through a realtor, but it's going to be a hassle. Listen, we just bought one in New Jersey. And the seller of this property, same thing. Husband and wife, no financial situation, no issues, no problems, no nothing. Had a house free and clear. There was maybe a small mortgage, like $20,000. They owed nothing. They had another property out in Arizona. They had a bona fide offer. They wanted $300,000 for their home. $300,000. They had an offer from the gentleman next door for $275,000. When I went in and I sat down with them and I went through for 2 hours looking at everything, and the house was old, but it wasn't killed, but there was a lot of little things that were wrong. C of O for the upstairs. They had to get a C of O for the deck. There was things they had to jump through. I didn't even make them a cash offer. I said to them, look, you have a good, valid offer of $275,000. Let me just explain to you the hurdles you're going to have to go through so you could actually understand. Everything basically you and I just spoke about over the radio is what I said to them. These are the things you're going to have to go through, the challenges, the hurdles, the hoops. It's probably going to take you anywhere from 3 to 6 months because in New Jersey, it's a little bit different. You have to get your C of Os up front when you're selling. You have to mandate that you get your home inspected by the town. Really different from New York. And so when I went through everything... More thorough.
Much more thorough, actually.
A lot less issues for the buyers.
Because it cleans
but more issues for the sellers.
Yeah, because how many times we go all the way to the end here in New York, and then it's like, title issues.
Exactly.
Yeah, we wait till the end.
So, we sat back and I said, I want you to take the offer for $275,000. Like, no pressure at all. I wouldn't be anywhere near $275,000. And they said, well, what would your offer be? I go, look, I don't even want to insult you. It's going to probably be about $180,000 with everything we have to do to make the house legal. But if you have somebody with $275,000 for mortgage, and I knew that $275,000 mortgage-wise, they were never going to be able to buy that home because the C of Os were not in order and it wasn't mortgageable. There were certain things that weren't done. I said, listen, by all means, take the offer, see what happens. Call me in 6 months. They sat on it that night. They called the next morning. We negotiated. We came up to $202,000. And I thought, at that number, it's a fair offer. It's more than what I wanted to invest in. But it still goes down to the point where they chose. Why would they choose to sell to us? And there might be people out there saying, frig that, $275,000, take it. Because the gentleman was an engineer that we were dealing with. This guy was smart. He calculated his numbers. He went down to the penny because he knew the different things that were going to go on. He said, you know what? I'm better off selling today, hassle-free, close in 30 days, no issues, no ends, no ifs, no buts. I have my money and I'm out and I don't have to deal with all this crap. And that's exactly what he did. And so, if you're out there and you're listening and you have a house that you want to sell, whether it has issues or not, whether you're in financial stress or not, it could be a nice home, an old home, an ugly home with cracked foundations with mold, or a house that's in good condition, but you just don't want the hassles of having to list it and sell it. Give us a call. Look at these two handsome faces right here. Billy and Wayne, Easy Sell Property Solutions. All we do is we buy homes for cash, and the biggest thing we do is we leave everybody in a win-win position. It's a win-win or no deal, period. We've been saying that for years. Yeah. We buy at a fair number. We give you a fair price. We close on your timeline. There's no hassle, no stress, no struggle, no BS. I mean, honestly, forget about the judgment-free zone. We don't judge, but there's also no BS.
No.
It's a simple, freaking, easy, clean, easy way to sell your property.
Of course it is. And the process that we talk here about, folks, is something that we always follow through it. So if you hear us saying that, listen, we'll be able to move your stuff out. We'll be able to close on your timeline. One thing I want to touch on is we haven't been talking about is cash advances. How many times we just had two of the ones, one in Center Reach and the other one, where we had to give cash advantages to people.
Let's go into that, because I don't think people even understand what the hell that is.
Folks, if you need to let's say you need to move or you need to get ready for your new place, whatever it may be, and you need up to a $10,000 cash advance, interest-free. We will loan you $10,000.
It's actually not a loan. It's an advance.
Well, it's an advance. Yeah, we'll call it an advance.
It's an advance.
You'll be able to use that money. We'll give that to you money as long as title is clear and we know we're ready. We know we're ready to close.
I just want to emphasize this. I want you to really hear what my cousin just said. The whole thing about us giving a cash advance, it's not normal.
Nobody else does it.
Nobody does it. Why? Because it's risky. But we do it for a reason, because when we go into a home and we really get to know the people we're working with and we get to really understand their situation, we know that, okay, just like the gentleman in Merrick that we were speaking about, he has nowhere to live. We know after interviewing them thoroughly, well, Mr. Johnson, how are you going to be able to move your stuff from this home, because he might have already had an apartment picked out, to your new home? How are you going to actually put down your first month's, last month's, and security rent in your new place? Well, it's kind of a catch-22. I don't have the money, and I don't. If I close, then I'm not going to have the place. I'm going to lose it. I might need another 3 months to stay, and it's like, all right. So we came up with a solution specific to the individuals that we're dealing with. Yeah. Everybody needs the cash advance for different reasons. It's just not go out and gamble.
No.
It's situation, problem, solution. Problem, solution. And all we do is come up with these solutions, dude. And I got to tell you, we just cut a check last week for $10,000. We cut one the week before for $7,200.
Different amounts, but yeah.
Cut one the week before that for $2,400. Like every week we're doing it. There's caveats. We have to have clear title, which means we have to know that we have a marketable title. And then depending on that, we can give you that advance. And again, it's 0% interest.
No interest. So folks, think about that. If you say to yourself, okay, they're going to take this house off my hands, but I don't have any money right now. I can't go pay 3 months. If I were to go get an apartment, I need first month's, last month's security deposit, or broker fee, whatever it may be. I don't have that money. And sometimes that's easily on Long Island. That could easily be $8,000, $9,000.
All the money to put down another home.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. So, folks, think about that. If we're actually able to give you that money, come to us. We see the solution for your problem right there. We give you that money. Breath of fresh air. You know how much that takes off your shoulders.
Yeah.
And
we're doing it again because we're a family-owned company, and we want to take care of the people that we're working with. You guys are not a dollar number. You're not a transaction. You're people. Everybody has a situation. Everybody has a story. Whatever the story is, and we're not going to judge. We're here to do one thing: help.
Yeah.
And if we could help you, and then in turn you remember what we've done and we go through this process, we're hoping that this little change is going to help you help somebody else down, maybe not monetary wise, but one way, form, or another.
Yeah.
We want to help people who then help people who help people. It just keeps on going.
It keeps over the gift of giving, folks. The gift of giving.
It's a good process. Dude, I'm so happy with doing this business.
No, it is. It's great. And a show like this, folks, it's like this. We're showing you, like, this is what I want you to do when you get into this business. This is the due diligence you want to do. You want a reputable company that's going to stand by and do all these things that we're saying.
Yeah. We're lucky, man. We have a great company. You have to know us by now. Easy Sell Property Solutions. We are Long Island, New York's #1 all-cash home buyer, and we're #1 for a reason, because we care. We don't judge. There's no BS, and it is the most hassle-free way to sell your home. Find us online, easysell411.com, or by phone, 631-400-EASY. I'm Billy Alvaro. That's Wayne Hartar. We are two handsome bastards, and we're out of here.
Take care.